The Killer Rabbit. On the outskirts of a small, forgotten town, there was a forest that no one dared enter after dark. The locals called it Whispering Woods, but its real name had long been forgotten, erased from maps and memories alike. They whispered tales of an ancient curse, one that dated back to a time when the town was just a cluster of wooden shacks. But the most feared legend of all was that of the Killer Rabbit. It was said that the rabbit appeared out of nowhere one spring, a white blur with eyes as red as blood. It seemed harmless at first, a regular rabbit hopping through the town's gardens. Children would giggle as it darted around, too quick for their little hands to catch. But soon, strange things began to happen. Chickens went missing from their coops, only to be found later with their throats torn out, their bodies left in neat piles as if for some unseen collector. One night, old Mr. Thompson, the town's only farmer, stayed out late, hoping to catch the thief that had been stealing his livestock. He sat in his barn with a shotgun, eyes heavy with sleep. The hours dragged by, and just as he was about to doze off, he heard a rustling sound from the shadows. He squinted into the darkness and saw two glowing red eyes staring back at him. Before he could react, the rabbit lunged at him, moving faster than anything he'd ever seen. He screamed, but the sound was cut short, replaced by the sickening crunch of bones. The next morning, all that was left of Mr. Thompson was a blood-soaked hat and a few tufts of his grey hair. The townsfolk were horrified, but they convinced themselves it must have been a wolf or a bear, anything but the rabbit. They boarded up their windows and locked their doors, praying that whatever was out there would go away. But it didn't. Over the next few weeks, more people went missing. First, it was the butcher, then the blacksmith. Each time, there was nothing left but a trail of blood leading into the woods. The town's population dwindled, and soon only a handful of people remained. One night, a young girl named Lily, whose parents had disappeared weeks earlier, decided to take matters into her own hands. Armed with nothing but a kitchen knife, she crept into the woods, determined to find the creature that had taken everything from her. The woods were eerily silent as she walked, the only sound the crunch of leaves beneath her feet. As she ventured deeper, the air grew colder, and the trees seemed to close in around her. She felt eyes watching her from the shadows, but she pressed on, heart pounding in her chest. Suddenly, she heard a faint sound, like the soft patter of feet on the ground. She turned just in time to see the rabbit, its red eyes glowing in the darkness. It stood still for a moment, as if sizing her up, before slowly advancing. Lily's hands shook as she held up the knife, but she didn't run. The rabbit stopped just a few feet away, tilting its head to the side almost curiously. Then, without warning, it leapt at her. Lily slashed wildly with the knife, but the rabbit was too fast. It darted around her, nipping at her legs, drawing blood with every bite. She stumbled and fell to the ground, the knife slipping from her grasp. As the rabbit moved in for the kill, something inside Lily snapped. She grabbed a nearby rock and, with a scream of pure rage, brought it down on the rabbit's head. The creature let out a high-pitched screech, a sound that was almost human, before collapsing at her feet, its red eyes dimming. Lily stared at the lifeless body, breathing heavily. She had done it. She had killed the monster. But as she turned to leave, she heard a rustling sound behind her. She froze, heart racing, and slowly turned around. There, in the shadows, she saw them. Dozens of rabbits, their eyes glowing red in the darkness, each one staring at her with an unsettling intelligence. Lily realized with a sinking dread that the killer rabbit wasn't just one creature. It was many. And they were hungry.